Hi, I'm Mr. Elijah Anthony, and I'd like to share with you today some important information about making the grade in college. And in that, share with you some strategies for academic success at the college level. You may ask, why is it so important for me to make the grade in college? Because setting your sights on academic success is probably one of the smartest things you'll ever do in your academic career. The better your academic record, the better your chances are of getting a good job, the job that you're looking for, and to compete successfully in the workplace and at the four-year college or university level. What's the formula for academic success? Whereas there is no single formula, it can be very advantageous to any student who wants to do well in college to focus on several areas. Generally, students who do well are those who are practicing self-discipline, those who use good study techniques, those who resist distractions, and those who maintain good health. We want to look at these individually today so that we can ensure that you understand what we mean by each area. Self-discipline is a college student's best friend. It is possible for you to control what happens to you. And one of the ways that you do that is by keeping a positive attitude. We know that you're bound to encounter some difficulties and some obstacles on the road to graduating. But overcoming these roadblocks begins with convincing yourself and at least telling yourself that you can handle these challenging situations. Secondly, you want to set goals. Having goals motivates people to work harder. And when we talk about setting goals, we're talking about not setting goals that are impossible for you or goals that are too easy for you to reach. As well, we're talking about setting goals for yourself and not simply trying to pursue a goal that someone else has set for you. Third, I would ask that you know yourself. Identify your strengths so you can take advantage of them. Identify your weaknesses so that you can work to overcome them. Next, I'd like to encourage you to work to reach your goals. No one in college will remind you to get your work done. You'll have to have the self-discipline and the ambition to complete the work that you're doing because you find it satisfying. And finally, learn to avoid distractions. Resisting distractions can give you more study time and contribute to you doing better in your individual classes. We want to look as well today at developing good study habits. Good study habits are a must for any college student. They help you save time, they help you ensure that your work reflects your actual ability, and you need to pay special attention to managing your time. Following a daily schedule is the key to balancing study time and other activities. A typical college student's schedule might include blocks of time for classes, for reading or writing assignments, preparing for exams, a job, meals, exercise, social activities. So all of those need to be balanced in a schedule so that you ensure that you're getting the proper amount of time for all of them. Secondly, you need to choose a good study place, a place free of distractions for you, a place that is close to the needed resources that you're going to use, a place that is free of clutter, and a place that is well lit. As a general rule, you need to plan to spend 2 hours of study time for every hour that you spend in class. And of course, we all know that the library is among the best places for us to study. Listening and note-taking are basic success skills. Reviewing for exams is much easier when you have all of the information you need right at your fingertips. And to accomplish this, we encourage that you learn to listen actively. Make a conscious effort to tune in to what you're hearing. There is a concept in education called be here now, which means that you have to make a strong effort to keep your mind focused on what you're doing in the present. If we don't have the discipline to do that, then our minds will travel wherever it wants to go. It will just take off on us. But every time your mind tries to leave the situation you're in, what you have to do is force yourself through discipline to bring your mind back to what you're dealing with right now. Secondly, be alert when you're in class. Pay attention to what's being presented. Pay attention to the lecture, to the items that are specifically being pointed out in your textbooks. And then you have to weigh the importance of the information you're receiving so that you can highlight appropriately and underline appropriately rather than simply highlighting everything in the book. Record relevant remarks that your instructor makes. Often an instructor will tell you, you'll see this again, or this is very important for you to know. So we want to ensure that with self-discipline, we keep a positive attitude, we set goals, we know ourselves, we work to reach our goals, and then we learn to avoid distractions. One of the other areas where students often do well, students who are successful, have shown that they know how to take good notes. Reading notes, learning that learning takes place basically through repetition. The more we read over our materials, the more we look at them, our mind kind of takes a picture of what we're seeing and will remind us when we take tests of the information that we've processed. Tape recording notes and thoughts so that you can play them back for yourself. Some instructors will allow you to tape their lectures so that you can replay those when you're at home or when you're doing something else. Just listening to those lectures will make all of the difference in the world. Of course, in addition to that, we want you to plan your reading strategy. Learn how to skim, which is rapid reading, to find a particular fact or a piece of information, as opposed to careful reading where you're reading a bit slower, trying to locate main ideas and important details. And those two are distinct from intensive reading, which is reading for total understanding. Keep up with reading assignments. If you're having trouble with understanding your reading assignments, you may want to seek some help. One of the things that we often encourage students to do is to use the library effectively. Do your studying as much as is possible in the library, because all of the resources you need are right there. The library is the center of academic life. And for that reason, we ask and suggest to students that you be sure that you're acquainted with the classification system that the library uses, which is usually Dewey Decimal or the Library of Congress system. Know how biography and fiction are cataloged. Use the catalog and the computer resources that are available in the library, as well as periodical indexes. Use periodical and reserve sections. The locations and types of reference books and audiovisual materials are important for you to know. So we would include these things for students who want to be successful in their study endeavors. The other thing that we suggest strongly is that you prepare for tests successfully. Many students have problems with and experience test anxiety. Test anxiety is a real problem that causes some students to totally forget the information they've studied. We don't recommend cramming for students because that's kind of just putting a lot of information over a short period of time in your mind. And generally when you cram, you forget it quite easily, especially if you're suffering from and dealing with test anxiety. So in order to prepare successfully for tests, you need to do these things. Review your notes. That's first and foremost. Review all notes you've taken. Check recall of facts by looking at your notes and then making sure that you can remember these things while not looking at your notes. To keep rereading the textbook is not the best area. You may want to just highlight certain areas and put important facts on cards for yourself so that all you have to do then is look at what you've written on the card. Try to predict test questions. Every test your instructor gives you, there is something to be learned about that instructor and how he or she forms tests. And each time you take a test, then you ought to better be able to anticipate certain kinds of questions. So we would ask that you try to predict test questions and come up with answers for those questions. Whether you're taking an objective test or an essay test, read all directions very carefully. Use your time wisely. Answer questions that you know first, and then go to those that may be causing a bit more difficulty for you. Always in writing, write legibly, and stay calm. Whatever you do, get a good night's rest and stay calm while you're taking the test. Extracurricular activities are beneficial, but if they are indulged in too often and you're involved in too many extracurricular activities, they can take away from the organizational skills that can benefit you right now. You don't want to overload yourself, even though there are some good social and service organizations out there. You don't want to overload yourself with other responsibilities that will take away from your ability to study and to do it well. Stress is another area that we want to talk about. Stress can make concentration difficult and may affect your entire well-being. Therefore, students are most often concerned about career decisions and finances and grades and personal problems. All of these things are on your plate as you're trying to do school. We would suggest to you strongly that you keep your stress level at a minimum. And when you find yourself stressing, you may want to exercise, do something active that will allow you to relieve some of that stress. So making the grade at college is really worth the effort to you and to every student. Be sure then that you, number one, practice self-discipline, that you sharpen your study skills, that you learn to deal effectively with the college environment. And remember this above all, the degree of your success depends on you. Thank you.